So basically, we tried the air pump one with the handle sticking out the side. Gets a little clumsy and whatnot, but after getting switched over to that battery powered one, the even, consistent, and just the application when it comes down to, you can just do it so much easier and so much more smooth when you're applying. You don't get the blotches. You don't get, as long as you can kind of move that hand at a steady pace, it sprays on so much more even than before.
Yeah. Are you having much residue drip?
None.
Good.
With a backpack sprayer, you don't have the handle to deal with, and I love the battery. It stays charged for a long period of time. That's a big plus, not plugging in and charging it so frequently. But we just go down through and we can now, at the feed bunk or in the stall. I don't like to do any spraying near the robots. We stay away from the robots, just so it doesn't, no interference. But I love it. It's a great product. It's going to be 6 pins, be able to go down through your Sikosko pins or even the pre-fresh groups. I've used a little bit out in the pre-fresh group, when they're the feed bunk, and spray down the udders that way. I think it's a really good tool to add to the udder comfort.
You focus on the bottom of the udder where the teat and the sphincter muscle and the suspensory ligament is. I think that's where you did get the most value out of it anyway. So I think it's okay to put a little bit extra when you're going mainly in that bottom area. I think less and less people are spraying the sides of the udder and the top of the rear udder.
Okay.
And putting most of that product down where the toughest edema comes out of an udder, and where most of the financial benefit is going to be is to get the sphincter muscle operating properly and keep that suspensory ligament as soft as we can.
Okay.
So Chuck, what you're saying basically is if you're targeting that area and the coverage is a little heavier in that area, you're still saving and conserving overall usage to get the same benefit.
This is so much smoother that it just seems like you can really move through the cows a lot faster.
Absolutely. Yeah, you and everybody, I mean, not everybody, but the majority of the dairies nowadays, you line up big groups. You have a fresh pen. You have your pre-fresh heifers. It's easy to go through a group right after you fed and pop them with the spray.
With the backpack sprayer, you can go out in the middle of the barn and spray, and you have no disruption to the robot. So you can use it anywhere, dry cow pen if you want, Springer pen, anywhere. I think the secret is getting the udder comfort on the first 3 to 5 days fresh, and taking the udder cake out of the udders. And if they're more comfortable, they're going to use the robot more frequently. Like I bought in a couple heifers here 3 weeks ago, and they were 3 weeks fresh. And those heifers, when we brought them here, they didn't train quite as well, and they didn't have the caking. But I seem to think the udder comfort helped, because I look back at those heifers and we should have probably introduced them to the udder comfort when we brought them in, but they didn't have caking and issues, so we just brought them right in.
So Josh, talk a little bit about what you did see with the fetch, the response from the heifers in terms of fetching times.
I think it kind of has to do, like you say, with what Chad is saying as well, because basically, now we are definitely not spraying anything by the robot. That udder is getting more comfortable, so they want to use that robot more. The attachment is quicker. The edema swelling has gone down to pretty much I wouldn't say nothing, very minimal edema, because we've actually been able to implement spraying before they get to the robot as part of the protocol now. So before they ever even make it to the barn. So that makes it a lot easier. We don't have the big belly as much like we used to. You know what I mean? You got that huge glut of edema underneath them. It helps with that as well. So I just think overall, the cow being, and like I say, maybe it has to do with me not spraying around and by the robot like we were, because we used to always do that. But we made a transition here on our farm by shutting our parlor down 3 months ago. So we had to change a lot of things and protocols on how we do things. Used to be everybody went through the parlor. It was easy to quick spray them, so now it's like, well, now we need to make things easier out in the barns and make the cows more comfortable with knowing that when they go to the machine, the robot, nothing else other than the milking is going to happen to them.
So what have you noticed, both of you, in terms of milk quality?
You don't have the new cases of mastitis. The new cases of mastitis is much less. You don't have those chronic cases near as much. I just check the cows on the list, that are high conductivity.
Yep.
And when I spray, it used to be, I would write down a cow with high conductivity and it would be per quarter. But typically it's, we just do the whole cow. We don't do per quarter anymore.
No, that's exactly what we do. We spray the whole cow up. I was just going to go back here and take a look over the course of the last couple year average and see and I know it's always kind of hard to, I should take a picture of this graph, my last 5 years. If you guys look overall over the last 5 years, can you
shrinking? It's going down.
Like that trend.
You
Wow.
kind of see it.
Heading down there, Chad, if you can see it.
And that's over 5 years. So that's a pretty good test, I would say. You start looking when you've got the data to back things up, and it's just the little things that continue to add up to make the big picture a lot better. Yeah, do I still have some, usually not much for mastitis, but do I still run into a high conductivity cow? Absolutely. But there you go. Now you got it.
Yep,
But
I did.
nothing like before. But it's a whole nother protocol that needs to be implemented as well. You know what I mean? It's just something that you have to make sure you're religious about. You got to do it.
Yep.
But it pays. Absolutely pays.
So what would each of you say? I mean, if somebody's thinking about doing this for the first time, especially if they have a robot facility, what are some of the main reasons why you make the commitment to do the protocol?
Yeah, for like myself, it's a very minimal, I don't want to say it's an insurance. It's a very minimal thing that I can do to the cow to ensure that she has the best chance of being able to be comfortable doing things on her own, because there's a lot of risk factors that going in when you're expecting a machine to be able to do your milking and you don't get hands-on. You need that cow to have every fighting chance she has when it comes to the machine's ability to milk her. You want to make sure that she's as healthy and as ready as she can be, so the machine has one less thing that it has to fight through or worry about, or that's kind of what I feel. It gives her every chance she can have.
So when we talked before, Josh, you mentioned that there were less udder changes during that first 10 days when you were able to get it on pre-fresh. Is that one of those things that you fight through in terms of the machine basically being able to very quickly identify teat placement from milking to milking?
Yeah, and Chad, would you agree with that statement or not?
Yeah, I would. Where I really like it a lot is just we don't use any intramammary mastitis treatment.
Okay.
Since I've used udder comfort, it's aspirin and probiotic pills and udder comfort, and those are the three main protocols for any mastitis treatment. The incidence of mastitis is much less than it ever was if we didn't use udder comfort. I mean, our mastitis is probably, I bet we dropped our mastitis 75%. Mastitis, that's our therapy. It's aspirin, probiotics, and udder comfort, and that's all we do 3 to 5 days. And 95% of those cows are fixed on their own, and if they aren't, then we'll play with them a little bit. We'll sell them if we have to, but typically that fixes them. Either way, whether you're going to treat them with treatment or non-treatment like udder comfort, it's going to cost you money. The thing I like about it is you can keep the milk in the tank. And I have never put a figure to the cost. It's such a good product that it works.
Yeah, it does. I would totally agree with that. I think the numbers that we've been kind of wrestling with, and with the new sprayers, with being both of you have had experience with it more so than a lot of people. If you could, it'd be nice to try and track that and just get back to Sherry. If you come up with a number, we're looking at like $758 an animal, but it may be more than that. It may be less. It'd be interesting just to get some feedback.
I was just doing some quick math, and basically what I just kind of thought, I was thinking 10 bucks a cow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the quick math that I come up with. Right.
How many days are you guys doing pre-fresh or post-fresh or combo?
5 to 7.
3 to 5.
3 to 5 when we're busy.
3 to 5, and then if it's a mastitis cow, it's typically 5 to 7.
Well, I know, Josh, you were saying below zero, looking at minus 28. How does it work using the backpack sprayer in those kinds of conditions, or do you run into any trouble?
I never get hardly below 35 in the barn.
Okay.
So I never seen, and it comes from a warm room. So I go out with a warm pack with warm spray, and from a warm room, and spray the cows up, and I'm back. And it's quick. In 10 minutes you're back. You know.
Good.
Tips would you have of things that you learned in using it that somebody may encounter when they first start using the backpack battery operated sprayer? Or has it just been real smooth and easy to get used to?
Simple. Charge was simple and quick. And I think I've only charged, I ran 2 gallons through it on the first charge. And I think there was still battery in it.
That was our biggest surprise too. When we got the first backpack, that battery lasts for like 2 or 3 gallons.
Have you ever tried other products? How would you compare Udder Comfort to other products?
No comparison.
So I've tried a few of them and wasn't impressed. And as far as, like you say, sticking to the udder and coverage, I would say this is the best product.
We got a hold of some Udder Comfort, some white Udder Comfort at a farm show Mark was at. And I don't know, the guy made history, and that was, there was nothing that competed. And then
I like the identifying though. I don't know about you guys, but I have so many other things going on. I ain't going out with a list. I'm saying, okay, go, based off of what.
And here we have Hispanic milkers, and if I don't see any blue, I know they're not taking the time to do it, and I'll talk to them again, but typically they're grabbing it themselves, or my sons are grabbing it and using it. They're not, they know it works, so they're not going to bypass that part. Since we've done the backpack, I haven't been able to get out and talk to a lot of producers, and this was nice to hear back from 2 guys that are as excited as we are about the backpack.